problem of prosperity. Their herds and flocks, both of them, had increased to the point that the land couldn't really sustain them while they were living side by side, so they had to make a separation. And Abram, because he was a peacemaker, he said, you choose your place, and I'll take what's left over. Lot, unfortunately, went off in the direction of Sodom, a city that was identified as being extremely wicked. Then we saw that there was a conflict between a group of 5 kings and a group of 4 kings, and the group of 5 kings got overrun, and their people got taken and their treasure got taken, and Lot was among those people. And so Abram got his servants together, and he went and defeated the 4 kings and restored the people back to the 5 kings, restored all of their treasure. And there was a king of Salem by the name of Melchizedek who thanked him and blessed him. And Abram gave him tribute, gave a tenth of everything that he had. So we don't think too much about it as we read through Genesis, but as we read in the New Testament and we read the book of Hebrews, what we find is that Melchizedek takes on some extreme significance because he was a type of Christ. He was both priest and king, and he was considered in the Hebrew letter to be a priest forever, just as Jesus was. And so what seems insignificant as we read through Genesis became extremely important later on. Then the faith of Abram begins to come to the forefront, and it says that God made this promise to Abram about the descendants and being as numerous as the stars. And chapter 15, verse 6 says, "And he believed the Lord, and the Lord reckoned it to him as righteousness." We tend to associate salvation by faith as a New Testament idea. In reality, if you read Paul's writings, particularly Romans chapter 4, what you'll see is that the idea of salvation by faith begins right here in the life of Abram. And because of Abram's belief in what God had told him, it was, as the text says, reckoned to him as righteousness. We're going to see that Abram was not a perfect man. We've already seen that. We're going to see some more of it as we go through. But nonetheless, because of his faith, he was considered to be righteous by God. We're ready to start reading again, and I want us to read from chapter 15, verses 7 through 11. If I could get a volunteer reader for that. All right, God appears to him again and says, I brought you out of the Ur of the Chaldees, and I'm going to give you this land to possess. And Abram, for the first time, starts to question God about this. He's been at it a while. He got the first call when he was 75 years old, and we don't know what his exact age is at this point, but we assume that it was some number of years later, far past the time when you would be expecting children to be born to you. And Abram starts to question. Let's talk about this. As soon as the Lord promised Abram a land he would possess, Abram then asked for some assurance that this would happen. So is Abram's faith slipping? Did God scold him for this request? And what does this tell us about the nature of faith? Somebody said something. Okay, Betty? Okay, all right. Should you think the delay might have had something to do with that? Okay. You're right. You're right. It didn't help at all. Yes. Yeah. 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 For sure. Yeah. I agree with you. And you notice God did not scold him because of his lack of faith at that point. He says, "Bear with me. Be patient with me. We're going to go through this together." Uh, yes. Who did I miss? Okay, Tanya. Yes. Yes, I agree with that. I'm reminded in this incident about the episode that Jesus had with the demon possessed child, and his father was trying to get Jesus to help him, and at one point Jesus told him, "If you believe, he can be healed." And the man said, "I believe, help my unbelief." I think this is a case of this. We're all parts of strong belief and doubt as well. Each of us entertains those things, and that's just a part of going through this journey together with God. And I think God is much more interested in having constant dialogue with us than He is in us just being always on the same page with Him. You know, I think that He expects this kind of interactions with us. Yeah. All right. Good. Thank you. All right. I'd like to read on from verse 12 to the end of chapter 15. If I could get a volunteer for that. All right. Well done. Well done. You didn't know that was there when you started that, did you? All right. Uh, we've talked a lot about covenants in the book of Genesis, and there's a lot more to be said about it. But when we introduced the idea, we said that a covenant was a solemn agreement between two parties, and it was usually made sacred by some kind of an oath or a ritual. Sometimes it was sharing of a meal together. Sometimes it was building a monument. Sometimes it was some other activity. In this case, it was an animal sacrifice. In fact, it was so common that when a covenant was established, they called it sometimes the cutting of a covenant. Okay, so this was pretty common. What about those birds of prey that came down on the carcasses that Abram had to drive away? Do you see any symbolic significance to that? All right. They probably symbolize the nations that will stand in the way of Abraham receiving his promises. And there were plenty of them. And as you read through Exodus and Joshua and books like that, you'll see these were probably the birds of prey that were being symbolized here. Notice that these were unclean animals, which their enemies would be regarded as unclean. That smoking fire pot and the blazing torch, what does that remind you of? I've got something better in mind than that. How did the Israelites navigate? Yeah. Pillar of cloud, pillars of fire. Yeah. So I think that's foretelling that particular episode. In this reading, what did Abram learn about his future and the future of his nation? That deep sleep that he had. Yeah. Now, as it turns out, that's many, many centuries ahead. That's a long ways off, but it's told right there in the book of Genesis that's going to happen. That they will be oppressed, but after that was over, they would come into great possessions. What about verses? Somebody? Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. They wouldn't lose it. All right. Verses 18 through 21. What do you see significant about that? Yeah. As I said, these promises are being unfolded a little bit at a time. The first promise was the land to your descendants. Second promise, to you and your descendants. And now, Abram can find this on a map. So it's getting a little bit more specific. It's getting a little more real as time goes on. All right, let's forge ahead into chapter 16. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And that's why we're going into such detailed study of Abram/Abraham, because we see this developing. We see this in all the patriarchs as well. All right, chapter 16. I'd like somebody to read the first 6 verses, please. Yes.
And Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it please thee. And when Sarai dealt harshly with her, she fled from her face.
Okay, now we do have a time stamp. It's been 10 years after his first call. Now Abram's 85. And as far as children as numerous as the stars in the sky, nothing's happening here. And we saw last week, as their impatience about this childlessness came along, that Abram and Sarai both were going to try to propose something to help God out. Like God couldn't do this on his own. Needed their help. Last time, what was the suggestion? Yeah, servant. Make him the heir. Okay, all right. Now there's yet another suggestion, and what's that? Yeah, the handmaid. Okay. Yeah. 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 Akara? Yes. That's correct. That's right. Mm-hmm. That is a fact. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. Arnie. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You think so? Okay, Catherine. You're right. And yeah, and I've got a question that we'll use to kind of entertain that same thought a little bit later. Where do you think Sarai might have gotten this Egyptian slave? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they got chased out of Canaan by the famine and went down there, and in all likelihood, that's where she was obtained. All right. Is Sarah's solution to the problem of childlessness a creative alternative or a grave, faithless mistake? I think we're about ready to say it was a faithless mistake. Okay, Gerard? You mean Adam? I don't think Noah and Eve had a lot to do with each other. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There are some times in here where he's rather passive to his own detriment. Okay. All right. So now the Hagar is pregnant. Abram's going to have a son. Uh, but what problems came about as a result of this? Okay. What's Hagar's point of departure here. Okay, Dolores? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She's a servant, and she gets told what to do, and now it's her turn. I think she feels like, and that is correct. Yes. Yes. And so as a result of that, there's bad feelings between them. Well, I think we've already covered this. People jumped on this right away, but was Sarai correct when she told Abram, "You are responsible for the wrong I'm suffering"? No, no. Yeah, yeah. You're right. Okay, Nate. Sure. Yeah. Right. I agree with you. It doesn't really point it out, but like I said, he can be rather passive at times, and he knows better, but he keeps it to himself. Catherine. Yeah, yeah. We got a mess now. Abram, you clean it up. Yeah. Bessie. Yeah. Yeah. I I agree with you. I absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. And this great nation promise has been rolled out. I don't know how many times at this point, and it's going to be more. Okay, Tanya, do you have your hand? Let's see. This looks like. Does this look like a suggestion here? That didn't look like a suggestion to me. Okay, Joanna. Right. Many times. Okay. All right. Good. Let's see. There were some other. What other? No. Did you? Okay. Okay, Shavas, did you have something? Yeah. Still foaming. Yeah. Sure. That's great. Yep. That- Okay. Akara. I no. Yes. Sure. Yes, and Ishmael did not have a really exemplary kind of life, that we would want to live. He suffered as a result of this. Yes, Catherine. Who? Okay. Unlike everybody else. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Catherine? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Sure. Certainly. Absolutely. Good. Okay, Bessie? it's, it's all that you. Okay. Brian, did you? It does. It does. Okay, Linda. Uh, Well, yeah, I mean, Sarah was already identified back when they were in Egypt as being extremely attractive. So even though she's 10 years older at this point, I rather suspect she was still very attractive. Uh, uh, the last two questions here, I think we've covered those in pretty good thoroughness. Yeah. Mm. Oh yeah, yeah. There's long range implications of all this. You know, this didn't happen just in that generation. Okay. Certainly, we claim them as our spiritual relatives for sure. Yeah, yeah. All right. I think we can say neither Abram nor Sarai were exemplary in this circumstance. Okay. Here's something that's worth noticing. In the dialogue between Abram and Sarah over what to do about Hagar, is she ever mentioned by name? Look through there. How is she referred to? Your handmaid, that Egyptian slave. You know, yeah. Scripture, but in Genesis in particular, is very, very good about helping you identify who's being disrespected. Because rather than calling them by name, it's your son or your brother or something like that. And we'll notice this many times as we go through. It's kind of like the conversation took place, and Hagar was never a part of it. You know, you really feel for her in the sense that she didn't get respected at all. All right, let's read on. I'd like someone to read from verse 7 of chapter 16 to the end of the chapter. Yes. All right. So we've noted that Hagar really got deeply disrespected in all of this, but from the visitation of the angel, what consolation does she get out of this? Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, your son's going to be the head of a great nation as well. The other promises that were extended to Abram were not extended to Ishmael, but she said that he would father a great nation. What does Ishmael mean? God hears. Okay? God hears or the Lord hears. And I think it's a reference to the fact that she felt like she had to leave Abram and Sarai and nobody heard her. And at the birth of the son, she said God did hear, even if no one else did. Describe Ishmael's future. What's his life going to be like? Yeah. Um, the The wild donkey was described later in the book of Job as an onager who lived in desolate places, and that animal was considered to be undomesticatable. Okay, so could not civilize it. Okay, maybe we've touched on this, but here's a question that will help us to relate the story to our own situation. The Ishmael story tells us to wait on God's timing and solutions rather than trying to manage situations on our own. Tell of a time when your impatience gave birth to an Ishmael when you could have waited and had an Isaac. Anybody got a story on that? Be still and know that I am God? Is that what? Be still and know that I am. Yes. All right. Okay, Kara? Okay. Yeah. Exactly what I was referring to with this question. Oh, okay. Yeah. 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 You probably beat yourself up a lot more than God does. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Shavas? Mm. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Catherine? Yeah. I'm sure everybody can agree with one of Ron's points this morning. We're always our own enemy. You know, you it doesn't matter how much you try to shift it on to other people. It always comes back to us, our own hearts. All right. Thanks to everybody for sharing. I think we're ready for chapter 17. By my count, we're just about out of time. Okay, let's go ahead and read the first 8 verses. Give us something to think about, even if we can't go any further than that. Could I get a volunteer? Okay, now we're going to roll the clock forward yet some more years. Abram is now 99, and God is saying that, challenging him to be blameless in his walk before him. What does it mean to be blameless? I would push back on that. I think it is possible to be a sinner and still be blameless, ironically. Anybody else want to tackle it? Okay, Tanya? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think it is not that you never stray, you never commit a sin. It's just you deal with it, and you learn from it, and you move on in your life. I think that's the idea of being blameless. I don't think it's morally flawless, as like Jesus was or anything like that. I know leaders in the New Testament are told that they should be blameless. So it must be humanly possible to be blameless, or that standard wouldn't be there. Now, next thing that happens is Abram gets a name change. What's the significance of God changing your name? Yeah. Yeah. When God gives you a new name, it means you have entered into a new relationship with God. Okay? Yeah, it's an honor. And it's not Abram that takes this upon himself. It's God telling him this is who you will be going forward. All right, let's. I think we're going to have to stop here. We will next week take up with verse 9. We'll get into the covenant of circumcision and what all that means, and go forward into. I will tell you, we are going to kind of skim over 18 and 19 and probably 20. We'll just do it in kind of a survey fashion. We won't read and go verse by verse or anything like that. The next chapter of great emphasis will be chapter 21. So that's right, 2 weeks. We won't be here next Sunday. All right. Thank you.